So last week we looked at homeostasis, and this is part of homeostasis, and we looked at glucose regulation. The big truth of all this is, whatever it is, whether it's body temperature, whether it's the concentration of glucose, that's how much sugar is in our blood, but I don't like using the term sugar because you're in year 10. I like to be precise. Sugar is generic. There's lots of different types of sugar, but we are specifically talking about glucose, which is a type of sugar. So I'm going to get a bit more technical in my language and a bit more precise. So we've got to keep the right amount of glucose in our blood. We've got to keep the right amount of water. And the three organs that we tend to look at, and I'm going to look at, and explain to you how, is lungs, liver, and kidneys. These are really important. Okay, so key ideas, water loss and regulation. All right. So I've talked about this homeostasis. It keeps all the internal conditions stable. And this is also true about water. Now, way a long time ago, for some of you that I taught, some of you I haven't taught, when you were in year 8, there's a topic called osmosis. Right? Osmosis is the movement of water in and out of cells. All right? I'll put a note here, osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water in and out of cells. Movement of water, right, in and out of cells. So the kind of thing that you got to know about the movement of water in and outside of cells is that it is passive. And that's a very technical word, and what it means, it doesn't need energy. Water will move in and out of your cells. If you have too much water, if you have too much water inside you, then what will happen is water will move into your cells. Your cell will burst. It's called lysis, and you'll either get really sick or you will die. Right? If you have too little water in your system, the cells lose water, they shrink, and then they die. So the key idea is get it wrong, your body gets it wrong, you die. All right? And this is really key. So, how we get water, and it's two really interesting ways. One is you drink it, all right? Or if, like me, you're a fruitivore, you love fruit. Actually, my kids love fruit more than me. You get a lot of water out of fruit. And if you think of something typical like a watermelon, there's lots of fruit. The other thing is, when we look at respiration, and you guys need to know the kind of word equation for it, glucose plus oxygen. So we eat and we get that glucose from our food, oxygen, and we respire. It's what keeps us warm. We produce carbon dioxide, and water. Right? That's a product of respiration. Now, how do we lose water? On a cold day, like, oh God, there's a few days ago, it's freezing. When you breathe out, you can see when you breathe out, you can see the water condense. And you can also see it when, I remember going to school in my primaries and by bus and used to breathe onto the window and draw faces. That's water condensing out of your breath. And you lose water through your lungs. Skin tends to be sweat and only sweat, right? But it contains not just water, it contains some ions, some urea. Kidneys. Now, kidneys are really, really important, right? They create urine. Now, I'm not sure you've noticed, when you drink lots and lots of water, your urine becomes very clear. If you've been messing outside on a summer's day and you didn't bother drinking because you was running around like a crazy child or a crazy adult, doesn't matter, you run around going, wee, son. What happens? Your urine will turn really dark. Your kidneys control how much water you lose. If you think about it on a hot day, you don't want to lose too much water. So your kidneys can actually control how much water you lose. Your skin and your lungs can't. All right? They're uncontrolled. Okay. So I said the organs involved, your lungs, you breathe out water vapor. Now, this I really like. Liver. Your liver creates urea. And I'm going to give you something very, very, very technical. I love deeply understanding things. And one thing that your liver does, it creates Now, here's the thing. Your liver get my teeth in, creates urea. All right. It then goes into your blood and it is filtered out by your kidneys. Your kidneys don't create urea, and that's a big issue with students. Now, this is an amino acid. This is protein. So when you're young, some of you year 10s will think, right, I'm off to the gym, and you have protein shakes. This looks really complicated, but like everything, science is a language. You get used to how it's laid out. You have over here an amine group. This is an NH2 group attached on the end. All right. It's all hunky-dory, we need it, but when we waste it, when we break it down, we think, right, I want to get rid of that protein, your liver breaks it down. Ammonia, NH3, that you think, do you know what, I'm going to break it off into NH3. This is exceptionally toxic and it will kill us. So we turn that into urea. And your kidneys filter your blood. They remove urea, some ions, and any excess water you've got. So your kidneys are a massive filtration system. All right? Tiny molecules get through your kidneys. Glucose, urea, ions, water. Now, glucose not clever. You do not want to lose glucose. Right? So what it does is it reabsorbs glucose, a little bit of ions, and some water. If it's a hot summer's day, it will reabsorb lots of water. Here's the interesting thing. Your kidney wants to remove or bring back all the glucose you need for respiration, unless you've got type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes. If you've got type 2, and this is the big one, this is really interesting. Long time ago, before we had all the equipment that we had, doctors used to taste people's urine. If it tasted sweet, they knew they had type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes. Right? If they were older, it was probably type 2 diabetes. But we looked at that last session. All right, now, this is the higher work. I'm going to teach you it all anyway, because at year 10, you might be thinking, well, no, I'm just doing the foundation paper. By the time you get to year 11, you think, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to give higher a go. So I'm going to teach you anyway. There's a hormone. We looked at the pituitary gland. Right? You can call it ADH. Antidiuretic hormone. All right? If you've got too much water, right? So you have less ADH, so less reabsorption. So you think ADH is related to reabsorbing water. The more ADH you have, the more water you reabsorb. All right. So if it's a hot day, you're going to have more ADH. So you're going to reabsorb more water. All right. Okay. And the opposite is true. If you've got too little water, you get more ADH. So more is absorbed. So the more ADH, the more reabsorption. Let's write that down. More ADH, more ADH, more reabsorbed. You must take it back, and this tends to happen on a hot day when you're messing about. Okay? All right, so I've, as per usual, 10 easy, 10 hard, 10 medium, 10 hard questions. Your year 10, you've got to get used to these questions. You've got to get used to how they're worded. So yeah, that is, I've not missed, 8 minutes, 34 seconds.